Hey, this is Heart Healing Fairy. And as I've been sitting here, when I start receiving just a ton of energy, and all of these messages start coming through, I'm sort of reviewing and contemplating on certain energies. I usually know it's time to just channel it when it doesn't go away. So, sitting here on a beautiful Sunday, the weather is finally starting to cool off just after the brutal summer heat. So, this energy is sort of about the polarities within life, the light and the dark aspects. And how, just like it is reflected externally in our world, it's also playing out internally for us. And for a long time, many of us have not been able to differentiate between the two. And then you start to become aware that the voice that has been speaking in you all of this time isn't actually you. And I know that there are some beings on the planet that have always found this to be quite obvious, but for a lot of us, we lived a very long portion of our lives being very confused, very identified with that voice that speaks inside of us, have even struggled through mental illness and didn't quite realize that a lot of that was caused by either experiences that we have yet to let go of, or certain energies and relationship dynamics that were not good for us on an energetic level. And you sort of live inside of these spaces and with certain people until it hurts too much and you finally let go. Most of the time, we don't realize that when you are seeing a reflection from someone else, they are projecting their internal state out onto you, just as you are projecting your internal state out onto them. It's all energy exchange. Everything that you experience is some sort of energy exchange, even with yourself and the way your internal voice is affecting you and influencing you. There are many beings on the planet still that are heavily influenced by the internal voice that they are hearing. And when they are functioning from a lower vibrational state of being, they are still deeply identified with, controlled by, and manipulated by that voice. And it usually turns out to influence not so great behavior. Also leading to unchecked mental health challenges. Because it can be very confusing, these lower vibrational states of being. And as someone who has experienced depression, anxiety, PTSD in my life, I really get this. I understand this on a very deep level. And there are a lot of people who do not understand energy, their own energy, and energy in general, where it seems like they don't know how to make the shifts that they need to come out of those states, because they believe that that is them. For me personally, I can say that the mental health challenges that I have moved through in my lifetime, I never took it on. I didn't understand why I was experiencing what I was experiencing. And what it did for me was make me dive really deep into human psychology and put me on a path to understand the human psyche as best as I could from a very young age. I was, because of the mental health challenges, a lot of times it can make someone feel very self-loathing, like self-hatred, because you're very confused and you don't understand why you are experiencing what you are experiencing, and it obviously feels unpleasant, and so you automatically sort of turned that shift on yourself and just proclaim to not like yourself because you don't know how to shift. When you start looking at everything from an energetic standpoint, from the external world and the internal world, you start to see that if you remove yourself from certain people or situations, you will notice that your internal state will begin to shift and change. That for a long time, unconsciously, you were allowing certain people or circumstances to trigger you in a way where these responses and energies could play in you. At a certain point, it doesn't really matter. It seems as if some of these energies will torment you to the point where you will eventually have to let go so that you can start to shift. And a lot of people won't do that. They'll stay stuck in certain states of being because the roles that are attached to some of the people and circumstances around them, they don't feel they have the authority to exit that energy or relationship, whatever it is. It could be a whole multitude of things. We are looking at the energy. Even if someone is proclaiming to love you, those are just words. What does their energy feel like? What type of energy are they projecting at you, and how does that feel? These are very important questions to ask yourself. Because if it doesn't feel good, there's a very big red flag and reason for that. Are you meant to just sit down and keep your mouth shut and take it? Well, we can go through cycles of this because that proclaimed love or being in love or loving someone, despite how they are treating you, what type of energy they are projecting onto you, we can stay stuck. So looking at the energy is so very vital. Is this energy that I am receiving warm, nurturing? Is it helping me grow? Or is it controlling and abusive and harsh? And what do I want to experience? Which energy feels better for me? This may seem sort of simplistic, and it is. At a certain point, you'll see exactly how simple it is and how to shift your energy so effortlessly that you will be instantly repelled away from anything that doesn't agree with you on a soul level, no matter what is being projected. Because when you see it as it is and not what you want it to be, that sort of illusion is broken and you can begin whatever healing process needs to take place. Healing is not easy or for the weak. It can be extremely painful energy to move through. But if you, which I am assuming you are, if you found this message, have been through several ego deaths and several cycles of healing, you already know this very well. And I sort of feel like if you find my channel, I feel like I have been channeling for a collective that has been either breaking out of a cycle like this, or you have already been on a sort of solo path for a while and sort of shifting into new versions of yourself all the time. I can definitely say that I am someone who feels like I die a million times every day. And it's actually quite beautiful to watch that unfolding and the peeling back of all that isn't true internally. The voice inside of your head, when it is identified as a personality, isn't usually very helpful. It's usually speaking things into you to see if your awareness, if you are aware, to decide, is this voice that is speaking true or not true? Because it can tell you all kinds of things. It can tell you the absolute best things about yourself and give you a big old fat ego head, or it can beat you down and tell you that you're worthless. So either side of the pendulum, you are the 0 point, you are the neutrality, observing the light and dark aspects within yourself. When you become aware of that, you are also experiencing the reflections in the external world, and even within another reflection of a person who is battling the same light and dark aspects within themselves. And I think that where all of this is going is that when you recognize someone's, you can tell very quickly just listening to someone speak where they are mentally, emotionally, physically, spiritually, what their energy feels like, what they are dealing with, what their core beliefs about their life and themselves are, and how that is affecting them either in a negative or a positive way, right? And I believe that the point of the message is recognizing when, okay, you can pick up on this very easily, but then when someone is either willing or unwilling to acknowledge their core issues, because if you are receiving this message, you can see it, because you've already fought many of these battles within your own self and you see how it works. and whether or not you need to extend your energy or not to specific people, places, and things, because ultimately it is up to the individual whether or not they are willing to look at, acknowledge what they are truly dealing with. And if they are not, there is nothing you can do about it. There is absolutely nothing you can do about it. And that is okay. Do not take this as a anything personal. It's not. We are all on a solo journey. It can be hard to let go sometimes because, yes, we care and love for people. We love and care for people. But if you are finding this channel, you are starting to realize that you probably listen a lot more than you speak, and you are probably using your discernment and intuition internally very deeply to the point where you don't really feel the need to help or intervene or try and save anyone or speak any kind of, healing or truth. People will come to you, but it is important to discern and use your intuition on whether or not your help is helping. And knowing when to extend or reserve your energy is what I'm getting.